What would you do if a 5-year-old girl looked you in the eyes and said, "You fired my mom, and I'm your daughter"? That's exactly what happened to billionaire CEO Graham Whitmore just minutes before one of the most important meetings of his career. He thought he had buried the past. He thought the brief affair with an employee 6 years ago had no consequences. But in the middle of his marble floor lobby, a little girl with ocean blue eyes shattered everything he thought he knew. As cameras begin to roll and whispers turn into headlines, secrets long buried rise to the surface, one of them so devastating it could ruin his entire empire. But behind the media frenzy and corporate chaos lies something even more powerful: the chance to be a father, to right a wrong, and to fight for the two people he never knew he needed most. Stay with us, because what begins as a scandal quickly spirals into a life-changing journey of redemption, betrayal, and the kind of love money can never buy. What Graham discovers next will change everything. Mr. Whitmore. Mr. Whitmore. Wait, Graham. Whitmore's polished Oxfords came to a sharp halt on the marble lobby floor. The sharp clicks echoed like warning shots through the high-rise's sterile silence. He turned, visibly annoyed. "What is it, Carmen?" "I have a board meeting in 20 minutes. The receptionist shifted nervously. "Sir, there's a little girl waiting for you downstairs. She says you're her dad." Graham blinked. Then he laughed. Dry. Cold. "A child. Carmen, please. I don't have time for jokes. She's been waiting for 2 hours, sir. Her name is Lily, and she said her mom is Claire Sutton." The sound of that name hit Graham like ice water to the spine. Claire Sutton. His heartbeat missed a step. He turned and scanned the lobby, and there she was. A little blonde girl, no older than 5, sat on a leather sofa, gripping a frayed stuffed bunny. Her legs didn't even reach the floor. When she looked up at him, her eyes, clear, steely blue, pierced something buried deep inside him. "You're Graham Whitmore?" she asked, voice trembling. "Yes. And you are?" "I'm Lily. My mom says you're my dad. But you fired her, and now we don't have money to eat." Graham's breath caught. He dropped to one knee without realizing it, trying to hold his composure. "Wait, your mom's name is Claire Sutton?" Lily nodded solemnly. "She worked for you in the finance department, until you made her leave." Images rushed back. 6 years ago, Claire, the bright-eyed analyst, the nights they stole in his office, the way he pushed her away, too messy, too risky. No good mixing business with whatever that had been. "Where is she now?" he asked quietly. "At home, crying again. She didn't want me to come, but I left her a note. I told her if you were really my daddy, you'd help us." Graham rubbed his face, his thoughts spiraling. "Lily, listen, I swear to you, I didn't know. I never knew she was pregnant when we stopped working together." Her eyes lit up with cautious hope. "So, you'll help us. I need to speak with your mom first." "Do you have her number?" Lily pulled out a crumpled paper from her backpack. Graham took it with a trembling hand and dialed. 3 rings, then a frantic voice. "Lily, oh my God, where are you, Claire?" he said. Silence fell on the other end. "Graham," she whispered, "she's here, with me. I'm coming to your place right now." "I never meant for her to bother you," Claire said, her voice breaking. "I told her, just give me your address." After a long pause, she relented. Graham looked down at Lily. "Ready to go see your mom? You're not mad I came?" He took her hand, small and warm, in his. "No, Lily, I'm not mad." As they walked toward the car, he couldn't stop glancing at her. The way she furrowed her brow in thought, it was just like he used to do. Could this really be his daughter? Had he missed 5 entire years of her life without ever knowing? Guilt swelled in his chest like a rising tide. The drive brought them into a world Graham hadn't stepped foot in for years. Run-down apartments in Eastside Chicago, cracked walls, rusted gates. They parked outside a pale yellow building. Peeling paint. A broken porch light flickered above the entrance. Lily ran ahead. "Mommy, I'm back." Claire opened the door before Lily even knocked. Her face paled as she saw Graham behind her daughter. Still breathtaking but tired, worn. Her hair was pulled into a messy ponytail. Her clothes practical but old. "Lily Rochelle Sutton," Claire snapped, yanking her into a tight hug. "You don't ever leave like that again, do you hear me?" "I had to talk to him," Mommy Lily whispered. Claire finally looked at Graham. Her gaze, once soft, was steel cold now. "Hello, Graham. Claire, can we talk?" A pause. Then she stepped aside. The apartment was tiny, faded furniture, bills scattered on the table. Still, it was spotless. "Lily, go do your homework," Claire said. "But I want to now." With a pout, Lily obeyed, leaving the door slightly ajar. Claire crossed her arms. "So what do you want, Graham? I want to know if Lily's really mine," Claire scoffed. "Now you ask. After 6 years, after pretending I never existed. I didn't know you were pregnant. You cut me off like I was nothing. I called, I emailed, I even came to your office. Your assistant told me you wanted nothing to do with me. That's not true. Claire, I never received a single message." Claire's voice cracked. "You liar. I sent you ultrasound photos, letters. I poured everything into those messages." Graham sat back stunned. Something didn't add up. "I swear to you, Claire, I never saw any of them." Claire's eyes brimmed with tears. "If I let you do a paternity test, and it's positive, don't think you can just buy your way back into her life," Claire Graham whispered. "If she's mine, I don't want to just pay. I want to be her father." A small voice cut in from the hall. "Why are you yelling at Daddy?" Claire wiped her tears and turned toward her daughter. "We're just talking, sweetheart. Everything's okay." But everything wasn't okay, and Graham Whitmore knew in that moment that the perfectly built world he had spent years curating had just shattered. He had a daughter, and she had grown up without him, and someone close had kept that truth from him. We're deeply sorry to leave you right at this moment, but next part will bring secret sabotage and a twist that will change everything. Do you think Claire should give Graham a second chance? And what would you do if a child claimed to be yours after 5 years? If this story touched you, please like the video and drop a heart to support our channel. Your love helps us keep telling powerful emotional stories that matter. Morning bled into gray dawn before Graham Whitmore finally walked out of Claire's apartment. Chicago's wind knifed through his coat, but the chill inside him was worse to the bruising certainty that someone he trusted had buried the truth about Lily. He drove straight to a private clinic on Michigan Avenue, handed over swabs for a rush DNA test, and paid extra for a 48-hour turnaround. 48 hours that felt like 48 years. Back in his office, high above the river, Graham summoned his head of IT. "Rob, I need every email that ever came from Claire Sutton between 2018 and 2019, and I need them an hour ago." Rob hesitated. Sir Ethan Cole ordered all messages from that address routed to spam 2 years ago. The name hit like a fist. Ethan, loyal Ethan, his former assistant, now a junior partner. Graham's pulse slammed. Retrieve them. Every single one. While the servers churned, Graham stared out at the city. He remembered Claire's voice cracking when she said, "I called. I begged you." The ache in her eyes had been real. At 3 p.m., Rob stepped in with a thumb drive. "It's, a lot, sir." Graham opened the first message. Claire's subject line, "Please pick up." The second, "I'm pregnant, Graham." The third held an attached ultrasound. By the 10th email, he was shaking too hard to scroll. The elevator ride to Ethan's floor felt endless. Doors slid open to the sleek trading bullpen, all hushed keyboards until Graham's voice cut the silence. "Ethan, my office, now." Ethan followed confusion, curdling into fear the moment the door shut. Graham tossed the printed emails across the desk. "Explain." Sheets fluttered like wounded birds. Ethan's face drained of color. I thought she was scamming you. She would have destroyed everything you built." "You destroyed it," Graham whispered. "You stole 5 years of my daughter's life." Ethan's eyes glistened. "I did it because I love you." The confession hung in the air, stark and warped. Graham's reply was ice. "Pack your things. Security will escort you out." Ethan's voice cracked on the way out. "I did it for us, Graham." But there was no us, only the echo of a closing door. That night, the clinic called. Probable paternity, 99.9%. A fact that felt both miraculous and damning. He printed the report, slid it into an envelope, and drove back to Claire's neighborhood, rehearsing apologies that seemed puny beside 5 missing birthdays. Claire opened the door in sweatpants and fatigue. Lily was coloring on the sofa, her stuffed bunny propped against a mug of crayons. Graham knelt. "Princess, could you give Mommy and me a minute?" Lily nodded solemn. She carried her bunny to the bedroom, casting a backward glance that stabbed him with innocence he didn't deserve. Graham handed Claire the envelope and a second stack the recovered emails. She read in silence, tears splashing onto pages she'd written years ago. When she finished, her shoulders shook with fury and relief, all tangled. Ethan blocked every word Graham said, voice raw. "He's gone from the company. Forever." Claire pressed the papers to her chest. "That doesn't give Lily her father back." "No," he murmured. "But I'm here now. Start anywhere. What do you need?" She inhaled, steadying herself. Stability, not a billionaire's guilt. Lily deserves consistency, not a parade of gifts. "Then give me Saturdays," he pleaded. 2 hours. No gifts, just us. She studied him, reading the desperation behind impeccable tailoring. Finally, she nodded. 2 hours. "You break that, we're done." Saturday arrived like Judgment Day. Graham ditched the tailored suit, arrived in jeans and a plain sweater, and discovered two truths simultaneously. First, Lily owned more energy than a Wall Street trading floor. Second, being a father meant surrendering to chaos. They spent the entire window at Lincoln Park. He pushed swings until his arms ached. She asked why clouds moved and if bunnies could fly. When the timer on his phone chimed 2 hours, Lily pouted, then hugged him so fiercely he felt something inside him splinter and regrow. On Monday, the splintered world struck back. Compliance called the IRS, had flagged irregularities, anonymous, tip-attached spreadsheet, fabricated numbers pointing to tax fraud. Graham saw Ethan's fingerprints instantly. If the audit went public, Whitmore Group's stock would crater, tens of thousands of jobs could vanish, and every headline would pair Graham's newfound fatherhood with corporate scandal. 48 hours to avert catastrophe. Graham convened his legal team, stripped code from the servers, traced IP addresses Ethan had tunneled through an offshore shell. Meanwhile, he canceled meetings, ignoring calls from the press, focusing only on safeguarding two things: his company and the thin thread of trust Claire had offered. Night bled into dawn again. He smelled burnt coffee and failure before the breakthrough came, a fragment of Ethan's login buried in server logs. Enough evidence to prove sabotage. The lawyers drafted an affidavit. The auditors paused. Crisis for the moment averted. Exhausted, Graham drove to Claire's apartment for his second Saturday visit, eyes bloodshot, tie askew. Lily opened the door herself this time. "Mommy's sick," she whispered. Claire lay on the couch, feverish, shivering beneath a thin blanket. Graham carried her to the car, Lily clinging to his jacket. At Mercy Hospital, the triage nurse asked relationship. Graham didn't hesitate. Husband, he lied because father wasn't enough to grant immediate access. It worked. Doctors diagnosed a severe bloodstream infection. Claire would stay a week. "When's my mom coming home?" Lily asked, voice tiny in the antiseptic corridors. "When she's better," Graham said, kneeling to meet her gaze. "Until then, you're with me. But you don't know how to braid," she sniffed. "I'll learn," he promised, praying it was true. That night in Graham's penthouse, vast, gleaming and echoing, he burned pancakes, tangled hair, elastics, and discovered Lily's tears sounded louder than closing prices on a Bloomberg terminal. She cried for her mother, then cried harder when Graham tried to read a bedtime story in a voice better suited for earnings calls. Eventually, the bunny and fatigue won. Lily slept curled beside him on the couch. Watching her breathe, Graham realized he feared the morning, feared whether he'd remember the school lunchbox, feared whether he could be enough. Across town in a dim motel room, Ethan Cole watched the evening news. Whitmore Group clears audit scare. His eyes, glassy with rage, reflected the headline. Underneath the screen crawled a smaller banner about an anonymous video, Billionaire's Secret Daughter. The lobby clip had surfaced, tallying millions of views. Ethan smiled, a thin, crooked thing, and opened a fresh email draft to every major outlet in the city. "We are terribly sorry to pause the story here, but next part will bring a public scandal, a hospital crisis, and a choice that could tear this fragile family apart. What would you do if the whole world suddenly knew your most private mistake? Should Claire trust Graham now that danger circles their lives from the outside? If this chapter struck a chord, please tap the heart hit like and stay with us for the storm that's still to come." Sunlight slid across the penthouse windows, but Graham Whitmore greeted morning like a man under siege. Overnight, the lobby video had exploded across every platform. Billionaire's secret daughter, 5 million views and counting. Paparazzi camped outside the hospital where Claire lay recovering. Reporters stalked the sidewalk below his building, shouting questions about abandoned children and corporate fraud. And somewhere in the city, Ethan Cole kept feeding the fire. Graham's phone vibrated with a dozen missed calls from his board. They were terrified of the IRS investigation that had barely cooled of the viral scandal of plummeting stock futures. He silenced the phone-filled Lily's lunchbox and rehearsed French braiding her hair until the strands finally obeyed. She wriggled with delight. Mommy's gonna be so proud. But in Claire's hospital room, pride was tangled with fear. She sat propped against crisp white pillows, dripping antibiotics into her arm, while cable news replayed Graham's face beside Lily's. "This circus will crush us," she said when he arrived. "Your world and mine were never meant to meet." "They met the day Lily was born," Graham answered. "And the world can gossip all it wants. I'm not leaving." Visiting hours ended. He kissed her forehead, promised to return after Lily's school play. In the corridor, his chief counsel intercepted him. "Graham, the board wants you to accept and offer Horizon Capital's buyout. They'll close the deal if you move operations to New York and agree to stay on as executive figurehead. It stops the bleeding, no lawsuit, no hostile takeover." Graham pictured skyscrapers, endless meetings, Lily growing up in a nanny's shadow. Then he pictured Claire's small apartment, her laughter when pancake batter splashed the stove, Lily's sleepy weight on his shoulder. "Tell the board I'll give them my answer tomorrow." That night, Ethan's final blow landed. He leaked forged spreadsheets implying that Whitmore Group had laundered money through offshore accounts. The rumor sent the stock into freefall after hours. Within an hour, the company's emergency line glowed red. Graham didn't drive to headquarters. He drove to Claire. She was sitting up, tears pricking her eyes. "We should have stayed invisible," she whispered. "I can't keep Lily safe when cameras follow every step." Graham laid a hand over hers. "I built an empire from nothing, Claire. I can dismantle it for the right reason, but I can't do it without you believing in me." She looked at him for a long, silent moment, searching for the playboy executive she once feared. All she found was the father who learned to braid badly and read bedtime stories in ridiculous voices. "Then do what your heart says, Graham. Just bring us home when you're done." At dawn, he faced the board, the press, the world. No teleprompter, no lawyers, just one microphone in the company atrium packed with reporters. 6 years ago, Graham began, "I made a mistake. Not the kind that cost money, the kind that cost memories. I missed my daughter's first steps first day of school. That's on me. But the people who work here shouldn't pay for my failure." He held up signed documents. "Effective immediately, I'm selling Whitmore Group to Horizon Capital. Half of the proceeds will convert into an employee ownership fund. The other half establishes the Lily Sutton Foundation for children of single parents. I will not relocate to New York. My resignation is also effective today." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Cameras flashed. Graham continued, voice steady. "I choose a different kind of legacy, one built at home, over burnt pancakes and bedtime stories. To the media chasing this headline, write what you want. My daughter will know who her father is by what he does not, by what you print." While the atrium erupted in questions, Homeland Security agents slipped cuffs onto Ethan Cole. 2 floors up, let him pass stunned staff. Digital forensics traced every forged spreadsheet, every leaked document, every filtered email back to Ethan's account. The sabotage was over. 1 month later, winter loosened its grip on Chicago. Graham pulled into a tree-lined street in Evanston, parking an aging Jeep outside a modest 2-story house. Smoke curled from the chimney, Claire's new chili recipe simmering. He carried groceries up the walk, pushing open the door to music and laughter. Lily, in a paper-crowned princess costume, sprinted down the stairs. "Daddy's home. Did you buy marshmallows for the cocoa top shelf of the bag?" he said, swinging her into his arms. She squealed. Graham set her down and kissed Claire in the doorway, once tentative, now second nature. Dinner was loud and imperfect. The chili was too spicy. Lily dumped in extra sour cream. Graham burned the cornbread edges and Claire swatted him with an oven mitt. Afterward, they spread a blanket on the living room floor, roasted marshmallows in the fireplace, and watched snow start to fall again. Lily curled into Graham's lap, eyes half closed. Does this mean we're a real family now? Graham glanced at Claire. She nodded softly. Yes, Lily, this is real. Outside cameras had disappeared. Shareholders had moved on. Horizon Capital ran the company from Manhattan, and the Employee Ownership Fund paid college tuition for dozens of interns Graham once passed in hallways without seeing. Inside, Claire taught evening math classes at a neighborhood school. Graham volunteered as assistant soccer coach on Saturdays. Money no longer measured him. Bedtime promises did. He tucked Lily into bed beneath glow-in-the-dark stars she'd stuck on the ceiling. She pulled his wrist. Will you still be here in the morning? Every morning, he said. Even the ones that start at 5 a.m. Mayuri with bunny tea parties. She giggled, eyes drifting closed. Graham stood in the dim hall, listening to her breathe the slow rhythm of a life finally steady. Claire waited in the doorway of their room, hair loose around her shoulders. You gave up an empire today, she whispered. I traded it, he corrected, sliding an arm around her waist, for everything that matters. Snow glittered beyond the window, catching in street lamplight. Graham and Claire stood together, hearts thrumming the same quiet beat as the world outside their walls spun on. And in a small bedroom upstairs, Lily dreamed of smoke curling from a chimney, a sign she believed that love was warm and alive inside the house. And would you have sacrificed a corporate throne for family the way Graham did? And do you think Claire was right to forgive him? Tell us what you think of this story. Comment. Number 3 if you loved it, number 2 if it felt just okay, or Nobi 1 if it missed the mark. And let us know from which country you're watching. Your likes, hearts, and shares keep these stories alive for people everywhere who believe love can still win.